Happy New Year!
When we think about life, we think about pain, joy, peace, turbulence, stagnancy, growth, and a bunch of other things. Things that guide our experiences and how we view the batshit crazy society we live in. And with that, I bid you welcome to the Volatile Times with Daniel podcast, a show where I, Daniel, your host, seeks to bring just a little bit of balance to the table. So sit back, relax, and listen, because you are in for a treat.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good whatever time of the day you are listening to this, and welcome to the Volatile Times with Daniel podcast. Yes, it's the first episode on the first day of the year 2021. Happy New Year, everybody. Glad you all made it. Glad you're here to listen to another banging episode on the first day of the year. And this episode is going to be a great episode because the relevancy of it is so obvious. I think after you listen to the entire episode, you know what I'm saying, because it addresses something that a lot of us are going to be needing for the year. A lot of us are going to be making or have already made New Year resolutions, and I think today's topic is going to be a very, very important one in how to balance things out on our self-development journey, because many of us are planning on growing ourselves further this year, and there needs to be a balance on how we do things, which is the entire aim of this podcast, to bring balance to the discussion. Thank you so very much for everybody who has been with me so far on this podcast. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys. I cherish you guys so much. We did a lot in 2020, and in 2021 we are going to be doing a lot more. Thank you so very much. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, I hope you have an enjoyable and awesome time. But without further ado, let's do further on today's topic. Now, I'm sure somebody saw, or some of you saw, or a lot of you saw, or everybody who saw the topic to today's episode wondered, what the heck does narcissism have to do with self-development? And who knows, maybe you're listening to this and you don't even know what exactly the term narcissist or narcissism actually refers to. And in a short, brief explanation of the term narcissism, I'll simply say it's a term used to describe an exaggerated sense of self and your importance and everything that has to do with that. The word narcissism actually originates from a Greek story of a man named Narcissus, who was the definition of finest man on earth at a point in time. Now, I'm sorry to say a nymph fell in love with him, so I'm sorry to say he was a guy, but he kind of squandered that love and rejected it and abused it and everything. He was a typical fine boy that just thought he could get away with everything. So the gods got angry and caused him to fall in love with his own reflection. So he sat down by the spring or a spring and always constantly looked at his reflection, couldn't look away, always enamored by himself, always self-absorbed, always concerned about himself, always looking to himself. And he got so enamored with his own beauty that he forgot to eat and different things like that and died there. So that's where the term narcissism or narcissist actually comes from. And from that story, I think you can understand exactly what or why it's being used the way it's used. Now, in our journey for self-development, like I said in previous episodes, which you should listen to, the last two episodes on self-development. One is what is self-development and why you are bad at it, and the second one is the two ideologies that promote self-development. If you haven't listened to those two episodes, I recommend after this one you go back and listen to them. In those two episodes, I stressed how self-development in and of itself is just about you. It is about you. It is about helping you recognize and emphasize your sense of self-importance, your sense of self-worth, and all those kind of things. I described self-development as the greatest, most beneficial act of selfishness, But there is now a level that we get to in our journey of self-development, in improving ourselves, in constantly, trying to be better, that takes us away from the goal of being better and actually corrupts that goal. Most people have expressed this, like the self-help industry, the self-development industry has kind of influenced in generations actually, a sense of self-glorification, where people are so self-absorbed that they glorify themselves above others' needs, they glorify themselves above others' struggles. They gain a sense of entitlement to things they've never worked for, things they've never done, where they think they deserve things just because they are alive, just because they are existing, just because they are human, just because they have struggles. They think they're entitled to what other people have. We talk about privilege a lot, and then we like to believe that privilege, when somebody has a privilege that you do not have, that person owes you something. That sense of self-exaggeration, self-adoration, self-glorification, it's something that actually belongs in the realm of narcissism, yeah? And it's something that a lot of us, while we're embarking on journeys of self-development, improving ourselves, is something that we don't learn about, and something that we don't learn to cope or balance. But if you remember, I said self-development has you focusing on yourself, recognizing your self-worth, recognizing your self-importance, and exaggerating or emphasizing that. You understand? Doing selfish things so that you can be a better person and be of greater value to the community or to the outside world. So in a way, it kind of seems like, yes, to become a better person, you need to have elements of narcissism in you. You understand? You need to be self-absorbed to an extent. You need to care about yourself sometimes a little bit more than you would do some others. And this matters in every single thing, whether it's job, whether it is just personality development, whether it is learning how to communicate better, whether it is in your walk with God. Sometimes you need to prioritize your personal time of devotion, than always going to some church service. There are times where I've felt, better sense or greater sense of edification than when I was among a group of believers. But that is a discussion for another day or another time or another platform or whatever. But now, how do we draw that healthy line that I'm talking about? How do we draw that healthy line where we express traits of narcissism but not to the detriment of ourselves and everyone else? Well, let me introduce you to the concept of healthy narcissism. And I will read a description of healthy narcissism by the contemporary psychoanalysis in action. They say healthy narcissism is related to self-esteem and self-worth, but it is not the same. It takes pleasure in one's beauty and in the workings of one's mind. Remember, it takes pleasure in one's beauty and in the workings of one's mind. And it can be related to self-esteem and self-worth, but actually it's not the same thing, majorly because it has a much more temporary nature to it. It has to do with particular things you do in moments that allow you to experience, a sense of joy in yourself, in your nature, and different things like that. Now, why is it important? Well, healthy narcissism allows you to express ecstatic joy in yourself, albeit temporary. Taking joy in one's beauty and positive impact on others can provide resilience during times of disappointment and heartbreak. So, in a way, they've kind of painted a picture of healthy narcissism for us, where you focus on yourself and you focus on the impact you have on others, but not so that it can be glorified or not so for praise, but so that you can take joy in the impact you have and joy in the impact other people have to you, obviously the positive impacts, and so that you can have healthy memories, pure memories, good memories, and just the strength to go through disappointment and heartbreak. So now, after saying all of that, what ways can we strike that balance? What ways can we maintain a sense of self? What ways can we make it all about us and still keep it healthy? Well, I'll read 5 things from an article on the Psychology Today blog by Robert Tybee. I hope I did not just butcher the name. It says, number 1, don't worry so much about what others think of you. True narcissists do this yin-yang thing where they seem to not give a damn about what others think. while caring deeply about what others think. And this isn't just a true narcissist thing, because psychologists will tell us that everyone is a narcissist to an extent. Everyone exhibits about 1 to 2 traits of the narcissistic personality disorder, but there are so many traits. So if you find that you do one of the things that going to be mentioning right now, doesn't make you a narcissist. It doesn't make you a narcissist. It just means you have one particular narcissistic trait in you, and that in and of itself is not a bad thing, because some of the things that narcissists get bad rep for are things that have been taken to the extreme. Not necessarily that they are bad, they've just been taken to the extreme form that they could be. So back to what I read. Let me use creatives as example. Take, for instance, you own a YouTube channel, and at the beginning of your YouTube channel, your intro always goes, "Hello everybody and welcome to a video that nobody asked for." Now in your mind, you're doing that, you're saying that to convince yourself that if whether people like this or people do not like it, you liked it, and so you put it out, and so you are comfortable with whatever opinion comes your way. You kind of give that sense of indifference, right? Yet deeply you actually care so much about what people think of the content you put out, that the moment you see a dislike button, 1 dislike, 2 dislike, the moment you look at the metrics and see that the amount of people who have watched the video or liked the video is not up to the amount that you're expecting, you kind of fall into a sense of defeat and stuff like that. Or let's take this away from creators and put it in our regular lives. Take, for instance, growing up in the church, something a lot of us has experienced is that sense of inadequacy that we face in church, where we kind of, we are told to this, put to different standards, and at some point we grow up and we're like, what, I'm just going to serve God, I don't care what anybody thinks about me. Yet we constantly model ourselves to what people think about us, while keep telling ourselves we don't care. The healthy middle ground to achieve here is not caring about what most people think about you, but actually caring about what those who are close to you think about you. There's something I tell my best friend a lot. It's, as long as I don't know you, as long as we are not friends, we are not neighbors, we are not even close acquaintances, we are not colleagues, I don't know you from Adam, I don't know you from Eve, you're just a stranger on the street, or even if you are just my neighbor, but we are not really, on talking terms, we are not really in comunicado, I don't care what you think about me. Not that I don't care at all, like obviously I care. I think it is delusional to act like as if or say that you don't care what people think about you, period, because that's just not true. Every single person cares. We all care about people's opinions, but to me I have created boundaries where I don't care so much about what regular people think about me. I care about what my friends think about me. I care about what my family thinks about me, what my brothers, my sisters, people like that, what my students, my mentees, what they think about me, their opinions. Do they respect me? Do they feel easy around me? Different things like that. And when I say caring about what they think about you, I don't mean in terms of the achievements, in terms of the praise they give you, but just whether they feel safe around you and whether they respect you. That's what you need to look out for. And there's something that people have been saying a lot in 2020, and that is that you are not your work. And it's true, you are not your work. There are times where you put out massively awesome content and people just will not like it as much as you hoped. But it doesn't mean, or it doesn't degrade the value of the content that you put out. So just take that. Number 2, don't take things personally. And this is a very, very hard thing to do. Right off the bat, this is a very, very hard thing to do. Not taking things personally is a lie, because whenever we hear somebody talk, whenever we see a text sent by somebody, we read tones and intent into them, and most of the times we can interpret what we think is the correct tone. Not necessarily that it's correct, but we think it's correct, and that correct tone might be in a negative connotation. So we get vexed, we get angry, rightly so, which makes it hard to not take things personally, right? But the thing about narcissists is that they believe the world revolves around them, so everything is personal. They are walking down the road and then they see somebody laughing, they automatically think the person is laughing at them, so they start wondering, they start trembling around, about what exactly is wrong with me, different things like that. They immerse themselves in this strong sense of inadequacy, right? But the healthy counter to this is to not see yourself as better or less than anyone. maintain that sense of equality with everyone. You understand? First things foremost, in the eyes of God, we are all human beings. We are all created in the image of God. We are all created equal. Now, sure, there is disparity in talent, in beauty, in different things like that, but when we come down to the base of it, we are all human beings. We all have our struggles. Even the richest among us, even the most privileged among us, has their struggles and problems they cannot solve. And in there, you should find the sense of equality you have with everybody. It doesn't matter what race, doesn't matter what height, what body type you have. Everybody has issues. Everybody has problems. Everybody has goals. Everybody has passions. Everybody has something that everybody has. And right there, we are all equal. Number 3, focus on you. Now, you might be looking and be like, sorry, excuse me, sir. You might be raising up your hand in class right now and being, sorry, excuse me, sir. Isn't the point not to focus on ourselves? Remember, I said that the reason why narcissists get the bad rep that they have is not because the things they do are inherently bad, is because they always portray the extreme parts, the extreme forms of the things they do. Now, focusing on yourself isn't inherently bad. It is not. It's not. But the way narcissists do it is what is bad. Now, narcissists focus on themselves and their impact on others all the time. It's all about what they are doing. It's all about what they are giving you. It's all about what they are getting. It's all about that. But the healthy counter to this, the healthy side of this, is to focus on you in the sense of putting your head down and running your own life based on certain values, having a healthy vision of life filled with passions, priority, goals, etc., etc. Now, I want to focus on that part about having a healthy, vision of life. And it's a difficult thing to do in the life that we live right now, because everybody is expected to be great. Greatness is expected of everybody. And when you sit down and think about it, it's a very, very unrealistic thing to expect of everybody. We live in a world right now where the ordinary life is a sin. To, just go to your regular work, have kids, be married, be earning a particular amount of money, not necessarily millions, but enough to be comfortable, just wear normal clothes. It's seen as a sin right now. Everybody wants to be grand, everybody wants to be flashy, everybody wants to be a business owner. And it's like, sure, all of those things are good things, but sometimes we are not all meant for those things. And to have a healthy vision of life, you need to sit down and think about it. Are you actually such an extraordinary being that you are supposed to be doing extraordinary things all the time? Or are you that simple guy, that ordinary guy with talent, and you do ordinary things, and that is okay? You understand? Take joy in the ordinary things of your life. I'll be talking about this more in the next episode, but I just want to say now, take joy in the ordinary things of your life and do the things that you are capable of and grow the more. It's okay to be that ordinary guy that did an amazing thing instead of that extraordinary guy that always does extraordinary things. Number 4, enjoy the company of people around you. Enjoy the company of others. Truly enjoy their company. Narcissists enjoy other people's company purely based on whether or not other people see them in a grand light, whether they give them the attention they deserve. For narcissists, is always being in the spotlight. It's always, attention towards them. And now people tend to think that narcissists are these people that love themselves, exaggeratingly above all others. Not necessarily so. Sometimes a narcissist is somebody who hates himself and always turns everything to, people are against me, somebody is always against me, it's always somebody's fault, something like that. So them wanting attention isn't necessarily always in a positive sense. It can also be, a sense of victimhood, constant sense of victim and all those kind of stuff. A healthy counter to this is to drop all forms of manipulation and even drop some expectations you have of people. Now, I'm not a propagator of not having expectations of people. That is just a wrong thing to do. Having expectations of people means that you have goals, means that you have a vision, means that you have a sense of direction, you understand? Now, sure, you might get disappointed, but that just means that you are able to discern what is right and what is wrong for your life. Let me just put that in that way. So Drop all forms of manipulation and even some expectations. Instead, allow yourself to appreciate the experience of being with people. Appreciate the person talking to you and truly care about what they are saying, instead of wondering how you can turn the conversation around to be about you. You understand? And I've been in conversations with a lot of people where you can sense that thing where they hurriedly just want to speak. They want to speak above everybody. They want to, they want to be the one talking all the time. They want to constantly introduce something that they are doing. You say, oh my God, something good happened to me, and then they start telling you, yeah, I remember when something like that happened to me, or I remember when it happened to a sister of mine that what I did was, don't be like that. Enjoy people's company, have fun, flow with the sense of conversation, flow with the line of conversation, just experience, be joyful in people's presence, and this applies to everything, whether you're a creative, whether you're a Christian. Many times people don't enjoy church majorly because of two reasons. Number one, they don't understand what church is for. Number two, they don't feel a sense of companionship in the fellowship of the believers. And it's because sometimes we are constantly comparing ourselves to that brother that has been a Christian for 15 years, and heals 10,000 sick people in one day. We are constantly doing a form of comparison, and we now go about our relationship with God trying to bring ourselves to the forefront so that we can also have stories to tell people. But rather, sometimes it's like enjoy what God is using that person to do. You understand? Enjoy the extraordinary things God is using that person to do. My pastor, Pastor Yoren Emmanuel, once said that sometimes when God focuses a lot on one person, it is usually to benefit every single other person around them. So, instead of trying to be the one at the forefront, sometimes being in the background means you help things move faster. So, and even as a creative, you don't have to see everybody in your creative space as a competitor. Rather, see them as collaborators. Whether you're a podcaster, whether you're a YouTuber, whether you're an Instagram influencer, it doesn't matter. See them all as collaborators, and there you can appreciate the talent and gifts of everybody and the differences between how you deliver content and how somebody else delivers content. Number 5 and last one, take responsibility for your actions. Take responsibility for your actions. Narcissists have this thing about never taking responsibility. It is always somebody else's fault. It's always somebody else's fault that they didn't get something. It's always because somebody did something that they are unable to have something. It's always because somebody did something to them some time ago in their life that they are, their life is ruined. It's always because they weren't born with a particular privilege that they are unable to do something. Now, I am not saying that go completely 360 in the opposite direction and then constantly apologize for things, constantly say everything is your fault. No, have a healthy sense of responsibility. If you are the cause of something, accept it, take it. It's your responsibility. See to it. You have duties. See to them. If something is not your fault, stand for yourself. You understand? Stand up for yourself. Stand up when you're in the right and you are being wrong. You understand? Stand up when you need to. Although there are times where even though when you're right, you just need to apologize and move on. That's what we're talking about. Balance. Have balance. Be able to strike balance. Have a healthy sense of relationship. Have a healthy sense of responsibility. Not everything is your fault. At the same time, not everything is your responsibility. You don't have to be there for every single person while you are dying. You don't have to sacrifice everything you own and then be unable to feed yourself. Sometimes, it's okay to care for yourself because you also have a responsibility to yourself and to your immediate family before you have a responsibility to the outside world, And this cuts across everything. Content providers, creators, you have a loyalty, you have a sense of duty and responsibility to your old-time customers, to your old-time consumers before the new ones. Yes, I said it. Your old-time customers, your old-time consumers who have been loyal since day one deserve more of your loyalty to them than the new ones. Yeah? No matter how cool and fancy the new ones are. So now those are the 5 ways to make sure that making it all about you remains healthy and you don't turn full-blown narcissist. Now remember, self-development is all about you, and the way we go about it is in a selfish way, which isn't necessarily bad until it becomes bad. But it doesn't have to become bad. You don't have to fall into that realm of narcissism where you become so entrenched in your self-glorification and self-exaltation. take those 5 things that we looked at today. Remember, number 1 is don't worry so much about what others think about you. Number 2 is don't take things personally. Number 3, focus on you. Number 4, enjoy the company of others. And number 5, take responsibility for your actions. I hope you learned something today. I hope today's episode has given you a sort of clarity for how you're going to go about the year 2021 and your development and growth and improvement in this new year. Once again, thank you so very much for joining me on today's episode. If you liked this episode, give it a review in whatever platform that you're using. Share with your friends, share with family members, post on your Facebook, post on social media, follow on Instagram at Volatile with Daniel, follow on Twitter at Daniel Briggs. And once again, Happy New Year, and I hope you have a blessed year. See you again in the next 2 weeks. Bye-bye.